right. So I told you guys that I was going to do 4 messages in Revelations 5. But I'm going to jump to chapter 6, and I'm going to hold the 4th message in chapter 5 for the Sunday right after 4th of July. I think 4th of July is a time in the year that would be more appropriate to finish chapter 5 than right now. So the last few verses of chapter 5, we will address them, and we will go back to them. But for now, we're going to just jump to chapter 6, okay? So I'm going to read the verses. We're in chapter 6, verses 1 to 8. It says, "Now I watched, and the Lamb opened one of the 7 seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures with a voice like thunder, saying, 'Come.' And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering and to conquer. When he opened the 2nd seal, I heard the 2nd living creature say, 'Come.' And out came another horse, bright red. Its rider was permitted to take peace from the earth, so that people would slay one another, and he was given a great sword. When he opened the 3rd seal, I heard the divine living creature say, 'Come.' And I looked, and behold, a black horse, and its rider had a pair of scales in its hand. And I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the 4 living creatures saying, 'A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and not to harm the oil and the wine.'" Don't worry, we'll explain all this as we go through chapter 6. You're like, what are they talking about? When he opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature say, "Come." And behold, I saw a pale horse, and its rider's name was Death. And Hades followed him, and they were given authority over the 4th of the earth to kill with sword and famine, with pestilence, and by wild beasts. Okay, so listen, what chapter 6 is going to do for us is explain what does it look like between Christ's first and second comings in light of the fact that Christ has triumphed. Remember chapter 5? Christ has triumphed over the whole cosmos. He's triumphed over sin, death, and the devil. So what does it look like for us to be in God's kingdom in between those first and second comings? Because I don't know about y'all, but if you read chapter 5, you kind of get pumped up, like, hoorah, hoorah. And then you look at reality and you're like, is that really going on? Like, are you really that triumphantly ruling and reigning with that crescendo in heaven? Is that really going on? It doesn't look like it, right? Does it look like we're living in Revelation 5? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So how do we process this world in light of that, in light of the fact that it doesn't look like that? How do we process that? And so chapter 6 and the 7 seals, it's not a period of time so much. It's another camera angle about what it looks like between Christ's first and second comings. So chapter 6 and the 7 seals, it's just another camera shot, another angle of what it looks like on the ground between Christ's first and second comings. So Revelation is not some weird book about historical events that happen in a 7-year time span. Revelation is multiple camera angles about what it looks like in the ground to be in Christ between his first and second coming. And so here we have another camera angle through the 7 seals. And so there's 4 horses, 7 seals, and what I want to do is just talk about the one white horse. What is a one white horse, and how does that understanding the one white horse help us understand what it's like to be in this in between Christ's first and second coming? And what I want to say is that as we consider the white horse, we're considering how God rules in grace, over his church in the midst of chaos and calamity. So as we consider the white horse, we consider how God rules in grace in the midst of chaos and calamity. So that's the title of my message, or the message is God's Reign in Grace. So I'll read the first part again. "I saw the Lamb open one of the 7 seals, and I heard of 4 living creatures with the voice of thunder saying, 'Come.' And I looked, and there was a white horse. The horseman had on a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out as a victor to conquer." So let me explain something to you what this guy on a white horse is. So where do we see another white horse figure in Revelation? Chapter 19, right? And who is that figure? It's Christ. So white horse figures are uniquely connected to Christ. Secondly, it says this guy has a bow, but guess what? He got no arrow. What kind of king conquers with a bow but no arrow? Christ, the Lamb who conquers by being slaughtered, not by slaughtering us. Thirdly, it says that he's victorious and victor. If you read the whole book of Revelation, that word victor is only used for the covenant people of God and their victory in Christ. So same victor terminology. Lastly, it says that he was given a crown. Same word in Revelation 2:10 for the saints with their crown. So this white horse figure is Jesus, who is reigning and ruling without an arrow to shoot and slay his enemies in between his first and second comings. It's about the power of God's kingdom of grace. And something that's really important, and this is a sub point, is that this kingdom is present. It's not future. Right? It says he has gone out to conquer, not that he's going to conquer. So the way we typically see God's kingdom in the Christian church is like this. We're going to set up God's kingdom in some kind of millennium way before, or we're going to set up God's kingdom right now by just doing a lot of like kingdom-y things. So we primarily see God's kingdom as something that we can create in the present or something that we could create in the future. But actually what this says is God's actually reigning right now in grace. And you know where this desire to rule and reign comes from? It comes from the garden. God made us in his image, and it says, subdue the earth and rule. So it's intuitive of us to think we got to conquer something, which is why we have stories about the Roman Empire in Greece. Why they have to conquer the whole planet. Because there's something natural to us about conquering. Why do you, when you get a job, you can't be just a worker. You got to move up and be a manager, and you got to move. Why do you feel like you have to rule? Why can't you just live in a house and you have to always subdue something and conquer something? Why? Because there is this natural creational desire to rule. But if we don't understand that desire, in light of what Christ has accomplished and is now rule, not with our help, we're always going to be trying to fill this gap that we need to rule in some unhealthy way. We're going to understand the need to rule and conquer in this weird way where it's more about us than about this white rider who is conquered already. So here's what it sounds like. We're building God's kingdom by doing this or that in the world. We're taking over culture. We're taking back the government for Jesus, right? We're taking over the music industry. We're taking over the movie industry. We're taking over the schools, and we're taking over all of the everywhere. We're taking over God. We're building God's kingdom. We're establishing God's kingdom. And you know what the problem with that view of God's kingdom is? It's not consistent with the gospel. The gospel says that God saved us by what? By us building salvation together? No, we're saved by Jesus entering into history and doing everything by himself in his life, death, and resurrection and ascension. That's how we're saved. So God does not need your help to save us. And guess what? He also doesn't need your help to build his kingdom. He does not need your help to build his kingdom. You know who thought they needed God's help to build his kingdom? It's the people that built the Tower of Babel. Let us make the kingdom of God. And God tells Abraham, yo, I'm going to make you a part of the kingdom. You ain't going to make the kingdom. But, beloved, I think the kingdom of God is more like an inheritance where we get something because someone died, not because of us, and less like retirement where you get a kingdom, you get your piece of the pie because you worked really hard. So listen, this longing that we have to be a part of the kingdom, we don't take it, we receive it. We don't take God's kingdom, we receive it by Jesus receiving our judgment and also receiving Christ, receiving God's favorable, you're all right and you're my son. That's how we get the kingdom. We don't build it, we received it. We don't produce it, we're gifted it. We don't create it, we're placed into it. We don't activate it, we're acted upon, and God activates it because his son was the ultimate activist that acted so wonderfully that he activated God's kingdom and he brought us in. We don't create the kingdom, we don't build the kingdom, we don't establish the kingdom, we don't create it, we receive it in grace. This is why I had Patrick read that text. Let me tell you something. Any kingdom that any Christian builds is not God's kingdom. Straight up. God does not need your help to build this thing. The conquering, victorious victor is already established his rule in the world. So, beloved, you know what happens to us when we don't get this? When we don't get that, we're a part of the kingdom. Jesus established it. We're always looking to rule over somebody instead of serve somebody. We're looking to rule over culture instead of serve culture. You're looking to rule over people in your house instead of serve people in your house. You're looking to rule people over people in your social circle instead of serve people in your social circle. You're looking to rule over all the craziness in society instead of serve in the midst of the craziness in society. You're looking to rule over the church and conquer the church instead of serve the church. You know why? Because you don't understand that itch to rule, it's been accomplished in Jesus. He's already gone out victorious with no bow, and he's established his kingdom in the present. Beloved, God's kingdom breaks into reality by Jesus. It's not built in reality by us. So we are now a part of this gracious, heavenly, built by Jesus kingdom. And you don't got to take on the Lego movie Anthem and begin to become a master builder of God's kingdom. He already built it entirely. I have kids, so I think in terms of kids' movies a lot. But here's the second thing. God's reign and grace, it's present, but it's also gracious. It's gracious. Now, I kind of addressed this a little bit before. So this conquering king, he doesn't have a bow. Means he doesn't conquer by opposing us and destroying us and adversarially kind of taking over. He conquers us in a different way. He don't come in shooting bows at his enemies. We learn in chapter 5, he took his own arrow. He was slaughtered. He was slayed. He was crushed so we could be a part of his kingdom. So he's conquered by sin and death so he can conquer us in this place of grace. He becomes our servant so that we can become his servants. He is exiled out of the kingdom and he experiences our exile so we can be brought into the kingdom. He keeps all of his rules for us to bring us into his kingdom where we could live under his rules. He takes us by giving himself for us. Beloved, Jesus meets all the conditions that needed to be met for you to be a part of the kingdom, and he brings you in based upon the fact that he met all of his terms for you. That is the kingdom of God. It is a gracious kingdom. And so listen, the kingdom of Satan and Babylon and the beast that you see in the rest of this, it's a different kind of kingdom. I'm going to bring you in to God's kingdom, but it's going to cost you something. You're going to have to give me something to be a part of this. Meaning I'm going to have to shoot you with something to be a part of this. Or I'm going to bring you in, but guess what? I'm going to hold it over your head endlessly that you need to continue to meet some terms to be a part of my kingdom. So you're in, but like I'm always going to question if you're really in because you got to keep making me happy to be in. Okay? Or you're in, but you know what? I'm going to haze you and you know that person that does something nice for you and they never stop holding it against you? That's the devil. That's his kingdom. Whenever you hear about God's special sacred space, being God, always holding things over your head and never letting you be forgiven, that's not how our king built his kingdom. It's an arrow with no bow. It is an arrow with no bow, which means that he met all the conditions. He took all the arrows so he can rule over us in a covenant, which means an arrangement, a pact of grace, a one-way arrangement, a unilateral arrangement, a because of him and not us arrangement. That is how God rules and reigns over us. But check, you know what the Jews in their day, you know what they thought? They thought, we're going to bring God's kingdom if we just can keep the law of God. We just need to be better law keepers and we'll bring the kingdom. Doesn't that sound like us today? We just need to abide by this and complete this and stop this and build this and avoid this and add this, and then we'll see God rule. That's not God's kingdom. God sets up his kingdom by himself, and he says, come in and based on me, and stay in based on me, and make it home based on me. And beloved, you know what? You know what I noticed about the way we're talking about God's kingdom in our day? Is somebody got to take an arrow. So right now, if you listen to the talk of the town, white people got to take an arrow so we can build God's kingdom. Or if you look in church, if you look back in history, we said in this country, in order for us to build God's kingdom, black people got to take an arrow so we can build God's kingdom. Or we may be like, nah, America got to take some arrows so we can build God's kingdom. Or police got to take some arrows to build God's kingdom. Or maybe in your house, you're thinking, I got to shoot some arrows to bring about God's kingdom in my house. But beloved, let me tell you something. In the Jesus economy, in Jesus world, in Jesus kingdom, nobody has to take an arrow for God to rule and reign over us except Jesus Christ himself. So whenever you hear all this talk about we got to hit someone with an arrow so we could really bring about God's rule and reign, that has nothing to do with this white horse kingdom of grace. Nothing to do with it. It is a gracious arrangement. Thirdly, it is vertical, not horizontal. So we understand the kingdom in light of how we see something about Christ in heaven, not how we see things on the ground before us. So listen, after this white horse happens, there's all these other seals right next to it. So the seal of God's gracious reign, and then there's a seal of death and plagues and all sorts of diseases. That's what all the people that die from the plagues. There's economic plagues. There's war plagues. So listen, in the midst of this reign of grace, all these crazy things are happening at the same time, and they're not separate from that. So you see the white horse, and you see the red horse, and you see the black horse, and they're all a part of the same time period. So guess what? There's no golden age before Jesus comes. There's no golden age where the church, if we just really, really, really get serious about God, we're going to bring about a golden age in society. All this craziness is going on right in the middle of us being a part of God's gracious kingdom. Now, that's pretty, like Pat was saying, that's pretty relevant to now, right? So here, you've heard Christians say things like this. The coronavirus is here. Why? Because the church is being judged by God because, we weren't whatever enough. So the assumption is these judgments and calamities that happen are because the church didn't do something. But we see that God is doing something and reigning in grace as that stuff is going on. So it's not going on because the church did or didn't do something. It's just going on at the same time. Or we say, oh, the reason why there's race riots in society is because of the church. Yeah. Again, you sound like? You sound like Job's friends. You remember Job's friends? So Job was having a lot of calamity in his life. And his brilliant theological friends say it's really simple, Job. You know why you're having all these problems? Because you must have sinned. There wouldn't be calamity in your life. Things wouldn't be unraveled if you were doing the right thing. And what we oftentimes do is as we look at how crazy life is and how we get mixed up in this craziness, we get mixed up in the economic plagues that happen and the disease plagues that happen. We begin to think maybe my relation to God should be evaluated by how jacked up my life is. And God is saying, listen, these things are going on at the same time, and it's not because you have done something bad to anger God and now kick your behind. I remember one time, so listen, a lot of you are divorced, you've had miscarriages, you're broke and you have an awful job or you lost your job, you have physical problems and you have emotional problems, and it's not because You have not met God's blessing terms, and now he's kicking your behind. That's not at all what this text is saying. We all going through the same drama, but we're still in that security of grace. But we still going through the drama. I know one time I was listening to like one of the most famous pastors in Miami. I guess it's a stretch to call him that, but Maldonado. So he got up and he was like, he put on this coat and it had all these holes in it. He's like, would you want me to bless you if I was wearing this poor man's coat? And everybody's like, nah. What's the assumption? The assumption is that the chaos in the earth is definitive of our relationship to God. And the more we don't experience chaos on the ground, the more we know we're right with God. But this just squashes that. What goes on in your life and all the drama and all the brokenness you experience has nothing to do with your covenant God loving you and bringing you home. You will struggle, you will fall, you will be broken, you will be tattered, you'll get corona. It's not anything to do with your kingdom that is solidified and secured by Jesus. These things go on at the same time. And you know what? I think if you're honest, you always looking at stuff in your life and you're evaluating your relationship to God based upon what you see around you, right? You're always doing that. So you're thinking about God's kingdom as you look at what's going on in our society, as you look at what's going on in culture, as you look at what's going on economically in your house, you look at what's going on in your body, and you're thinking, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me about me? As if those things go together. Let me read this passage as John scurries to cover the equipment. I don't know about y'all, I could use some rain right now. It's cooling me off, so. Listen to this. Hebrews chapter 2. For it was not to angels that God subjected the world to come, of which we're speaking of. It's been testified somewhere. What is man that you are mindful of him? Or the son of man that you care for him? You made him a little or lower than the angels. You crowned him with glory and honor, and you put everything in subjection under his feet. So the author of Hebrews is talking about how God basically subjected the whole world to humans. So the question is, we're not subjecting the world anymore. We're being subjected by the world, right? Death conquers all of us. So how do we think about God's kingdom? Look, it says, now in putting everything in subjection to him, talking about men, he left nothing outside of his control. At the present, we don't see everything in subjection to him. So we don't see man ruling and reigning. So what do we see? But we do see him. Talking about Jesus. For a little while was made lower than the angels, namely Jesus, crowned with glory and honor because of his suffering and death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. So listen, you don't see on the ground and in your life all of these compelling cases for God's kingdom, but guess what? You do see Jesus. So if you see the King and what he is like and what he's about, then you understand why you're right. You understand why you're in God's kingdom, because it is entirely rooted not in on the ground stuff, but in Jesus stuff. So we want to think about your relationship to God. Don't look at how your house looks this week. Don't look at how the news looks this week. Look at how Jesus looks where he is. Because your life is what? Hidden in Christ and God. I got 2 more points as the rain comes, all right? God's kingdom is present. It's a gracious kingdom. It's also it's not undone by what goes on the ground, but it's secure in him. But it's also not diluted, guys. It's not diluted. So listen. The book of Revelation has all of these kind of like separations. New Jerusalem, Babylon. The wife of the Lamb and the harlot clothed in purple. Those who are sealed and those who are not sealed. Those who are secure in heaven and those who are dwellers of the earth. The 7 mountains of the kingdoms of man and the Mount Zion of the kingdom of God. And so what you see over and over again in Revelation is that there's these 2 worlds, 2 ages, 2 peoples that are distinct and not confused. And so when you see all these horses representing things going on the earth, you see the white horse is distinct. He got no brown or black colors on him, right? He's not a fusion hybrid mixing and matching. He is a distinct figure of a distinct kingdom that is not diluted at all by anything on the ground. It is distinct and not diluted. There is no crossbreeding. There is no hybrid. There is no dating or no fusion. And let me give you an example of applying this. Remember when Trump got voted? Remember when Trump got voted? What was the reaction amongst Christians? God's kingdom reigns! Yes! And then the other people were like, oh no, what are we going to do? The assumption is, who's in office diluted our kingdom? What does Revelation say? 1 verse 5. The firstborn from the dead and the ruler of the kings of the earth, the one who loves us and has set us free from our sins by his blood, and he made us a kingdom that is not diluted or diffused by whatever happens around us. So, guess what? Our kingdom is not diluted by Miami-Dade. It's not diluted by Florida. It's not diluted by COVID. It's not diluted by what's going on amongst police officers out there. It's not diluted by America. It's not diluted by the problems in culture. It's not diluted by the educational problems. It's not diluted by Target and Starbucks. I know Christians like, oh my gosh, Starbucks, gives money to like the gay cause, and Target, they have transsexual bathrooms. Okay, but they don't dilute nothing about our kingdom. God does not need Target to be Christian. He don't need Starbucks to make Christian coffee. It's not diluted by what happens in the world. We have one color. It's not mixed. And the color is Jesus and him crucified. It is not diluted by things in the world. Look, here's a picture that's really important. You have bleach and you have oil in your house. Now, bleach cleans stuff, and oil, cocina, it cooks stuff. And we're very healthy, so we have coconut oil. Because it doesn't become transformed by the heat like olive oil does. Oh, yeah. I'm healthier than you. Anyways, those things are useful as they're separate and distinct. But guess what? If you want to cook by putting bleach and olive oil, what happens? Yeah, it don't work. You're not cleaning or cooking. Or if you want to clean by putting olive oil and bleach, what happens? You're not cleaning anything. So guys, we don't do this secular and sacred mixture and make secular. We don't have to Christianize everything, beloved. This is the problem, I think, we don't understand. We got two distinct kingdoms that are not collapsed into each other. We have this horse of God's reign that is not poly mixed. You don't have to Christianize everything. Christianize movies, Christianize Netflix, Christianize YouTube, Christianize art, Christianize government, Christianize society, Christianize t-shirts, Christianize companies. We don't have to do that because we have Jesus, who's a Christian man, or not, he's a Christ man, and we are secure in him and not diluting him. We don't have to Christianize everything. We can let society be common and be what it is. We don't have to dilute and think that things are diluted. Have you ever met Christians like that? They want to Christianize everything. Christian paint companies. Christian, what are those things called? Christian, the diffusers, whatever, those things. The oils. Let society be common, and let the new Jerusalem that is in the slaughtered lamb's gracious kingdom be sacred. Please. Please. It is not diluted. Here's my last point. It is ministerial, not militarial. It is ministerial, not militarial. So ministry it's about the good news of Jesus, not some kind of dominant force. So listen, So we talked about how he conquers without an arrow. That's how he conquers. But guess what? The way we're conquered also affects the way we interact with people around us. So it's not just he brought us in like this, but how do we, in thinking how he brought us in, not shooting us, but being shot himself by his Father's justice in our place and being buried 3 days later, rising triumphant and saying, I took the arrow. How do we process that above us, around us? How do we process that? And you know what's happening a lot of times? And here's a picture I think is helpful. It's the difference between how dad rules in the house and mom rules in the house. Dad conquers by what? You know? And you know what? Mom conquers by the compelling sweetness of her loving disposition. Well, yeah. I totally understand. There's no perfect representation of that. Sometimes we switch that, right? But listen, when we don't get that Jesus' kingdom is ministerial, not military, you get the Crusades. Remember the Crusades? We're going to go and kill all the Muslims for Jesus. Yeah! You're going to conquer the world for Jesus in a way that has nothing to do with how he conquered you. Let's kill all the Muslims. Ridiculous. Or you have the Roman Catholics. What do? Hey, Guatemala, hey, Peru, Mexico, we're going to kill you in the name of Jesus and then make you have our religion. That's not how you were conquered. So why would you go into a place conquering that way? Or in the present day, we're going to smash people in the head with all of our bows, and then they're going to be submitting to Christ. We're going to smash all the liberals. We're going to smash all those white racist people, quote unquote. We're going to smash the feminists, the LGBTQ. We're going to smash them too. We're going to smash them. We're going to fight the atheists. We're going to march and scream and make threats. We're going to sue. We're going to fight. That is not how we advance. We don't advance by being military Christianized people. We advance, beloved, by being advancers of God's ministerial grace. That's not how we're gonna do that. Whether it's a real problem or not. Let me read a text for you. Isaiah 53. Verse 7. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. Like a lamb that was led to the slaughter, and like a sheep that is silent before its shearers, so he not open his mouth. How does that affect the way we think we advance in the world? By walking around with a big, threatening mouth, intimidating everybody about our Christianity. Posting pictures of your gun. I'm a Christian. Oh, okay. So what that mean? You gonna shoot somebody to bring the gospel to them? You gonna burn a city to bring the gospel to somebody? You're going to crucify white people endlessly to bring the gospel to society? That's what you're going to do? No, that's not how we advance. How do we advance, beloved? We advance in the way Christ advanced, by not throwing bows at his enemies, but by taking them graciously for us. Beloved, the world leads by intimidation. We advance by the good news of propitiation. The world advances by shoving morality down people's throats. We shove gospel down their throats, and that makes them moral. Obviously, I'm not saying to preach the gospel in some obnoxious way, but you get the picture. The world does not tolerate those who differ. We show mercy to those who differ from us. The world creates policies to change. We promote promises to change. The world is angry and self-righteous as they, quote unquote, change the world. We are righteous in Christ and calm as we change the world. The world marches and dances in the name of some agenda. We march and advance in the name of the Savior, Jesus Christ. The world screams at each other. We talk about God to the world. Let me read one more passage before I close. So Jesus is looking at the people in his day, and they had these leaders that thought that the way they were going to make Israel holy was by throwing bricks at their heads as to how they should be this or that or the other. Jesus said, you bind men with burdens hard to bear, and you don't lift a finger. All you do is crush people with what you should do. And so look what Jesus says. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. All of you take up my yoke and learn from me, because I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. That's how we represent the rule of God to a rebellious people that don't get it. And then just closing it with a word of application. How do you think about God's kingdom in your own sphere of life? Are you always threatening people around you? You always throwing shade to get what you want? You're the shade thrower, not the flame thrower. You're the shade thrower. You're always giving ultimatums. Either what I see or what I want or else. Is that how you're representing the Savior who conquered you without an arrow aimed at your heart? You're aiming some arrow at somebody all day long. Beloved, I would challenge you to consider that the way we advance God's kingdom is ministerial, not militarial. Put down your Jesus machine gun. Stop aiming at people. Stop intimidating people. Stop threatening people. Stop being passive-aggressive. Stop being aggressive-aggressive. And represent Jesus in a way that represents the way he saved and keeps you. Let me pray. Actually, before I pray, I'm going to say one more thing. Can I add 2 more minutes to a 35-minute sermon? Do you know why Jesus was rejected? You know why they rejected? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but here's one. They're like, Jesus, okay, you're the king, you're the Messiah, right? You've been saying that over and over again. Are you going to kick all these Romans behind or what? You see, we are the people of God, and we got all these pagans with their pagan Starbucks and their pagan Target and their pagan governors. I'm connecting to that, right? What you going to do about it, Jesus? You're the king. Are you going to come in there and you're going to Rambo Superman vaporize all the pagans? He didn't do anything about Roman oppressors. He laid himself on a piece of wood and he took the oppression and assault of what we did in the first Adam, and he died under the power of sin and death, and he rescued a people in a new city, a new society. That's what he did. And you know what? When he was about to do that, they said, you know what? We all got to sell him out now. Judas like, well, I guess if he's not gonna kick the Romans behind, then I got to sell him out. There's always a danger, beloved, that we would want a kingdom in this present that is not ministerial, but it is militarial. Let me tell you something. Militarized Christianity is more worldly accepted, and it's more attractive, and it's more popular, and it's more buzzworthy. But guess what? It's not Christian. It ain't Christian. Okay, now I can pray. All right. Father, thank you so much that you give us a picture of black horses and green horses that speak about just the chaos that goes on in between your first and second comings. But it starts with a white horse, a universal kingdom of grace that we are a part of, that is not diluted, it's not affected by all the other forces in society and culture that are going on at the same time. God, thank you for giving us a kingdom that is truly unshakable, because it's built entirely upon the King himself. Amen.
That concludes our message, and we hope that you were inspired by it. If you'd like to hear more about the gospel or find out more about Reconciled Church Miami, please connect with us using one of the ways listed on our website, reconciledchurchmiami.org.